Yo, my peoples, welcome to Rants and Randomness. I'm Luvvie Ajayi, your side-eye sorceress. From time to time, I bring you a bonus episode. And when I have amazing interviews that I'm just like, they need to stand by themselves, I also bring you an episode that is just that interview. And on this one, I talked to Yvette Noel-Schure, publicist to the stars. She is the person behind Beyoncé. She's been publicist to Prince, Mariah Carey, Adele, Wyclef Jean. Like, her resume is insane, but also, more importantly, she's just an amazing person. Her heart, her spirit, the way her smile lights up a room. I got a chance to talk to Yvette, and she takes me through her story about how she went from this child in Grenada to a woman who is the real G who moves in silence behind a lot of your favorite musicians.
He wanted to make sure that we had a proper Grenada upbringing before we got into America and got corrupted, in his words. Luvvie, the entire time I worked for Prince, both in the beginning and in the end, I pretended I was not a fan. And the minute he walked out the door, I was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, I work for Prince.
This interview was too good for me to just add to another episode, so it needs to stand by itself. Listen to it. Show her some love on social. She's Yvette Noel-Schure on all social. That's at YvetteNoel-Schure. Listen to this interview. Let me know how much you love it. And let's jump into it. Thank you so much for joining me on Rants.
I am so excited. I feel like I just won the lotto or something.
Look, that's how I feel that you're here. I want people to know how epic you are. So Rants fam, I need to let y'all know about Yvette Noel-Schure. If you already didn't know, this real G who moves in silence, okay? Yvette Noel-Schure is a seasoned, respected industry veteran and one of the top creative executives in the music PR business. Her passion for artists she works with and her business acumen will, without question, lead to her continued success. That's what Music World Entertainment President, CEO Matthew Knowles said. She's a mother of three and has been married for over 36 years. She and husband, David Schure, run their company, Schure Media, together. An award-winning industry veteran, Yvette's garnered awards range from the Caribbean Luminary Award, the ACE Awards, and her name is synonymous with greatness in media and relationship building. Her first client as a publicist was Mariah Carey, and now she represents Beyoncé, and her roster in the past has been Prince, Jessica Simpson, John Legend, Adele. Yvette, you are basically the unicorn of PR. Welcome to Rants and Randomness.
Thank you. It's so weird to hear it all said like that. Oh, my God.
Our bios speak our dopeness back to us, and it makes us blush. That's what happens.
Oh, my goodness.
You're amazing.
Good.
I had to have you on this show because I'm like, you are one of those women who has moved behind the scenes for so long, and your story is so fascinating. So I couldn't wait to bring you on to share it with my podcast listeners. So I always start by asking people, what did you want to do or be when you were growing up?
So it had absolutely nothing to do with the music business. I wanted to be a teacher, and I wanted to be a writer. And it was one or two or one. It was never changing. That's all I wanted to be. And I think at a certain age, I sort of gravitated more to wanting to be a writer, because I became a newspaper girl. I was delivering the newspaper all around my little village of Birch Grove in Grenada. And at some point, I don't know where I got this red pen, but I got a red pen and started sitting down under the tree, whether it was a coconut tree, whether it was a mango tree, whatever it was. I needed a place that had good shade, and I would sit there and edit the paper with my red pen. Any sort of mistake I thought in my young age that did not belong there, that comma is wrong, that there should be a question mark after that. Where's the full stop? Well, you say period here, but
we say full stop in Nigeria, so I feel you.
Okay, so you know. Yeah, so it's like, where's the full stop? That was missing. And then I would pick up my papers and then take it to the homes where I was delivering the papers. And then inevitably, my grandfather's phone would ring, and they would not really complain, but say, maybe let Yvette know that we don't want the red marks on the paper, But I knew that I loved words, and so I thought there's got to be some sort of career. And then I started thinking, like, what does that mean that there is a piece written in the paper that I'm reading, and then there's this one little line that says by somebody. Oh, that's the person who wrote that. That's what I want to do. I want to write the original thing as opposed to editing it. And so I didn't know how to sort of say that. I didn't know how to tell my grandparents that. And at some point I understood that meant a journalist. So I remember one day saying to Papa that I wanted to be a journalist. And, my grandparents were uneducated but brilliant. Like, they didn't have formal schooling, but they were brilliant. They ran their own businesses and stuff. So he didn't know words either, but he never said no to me. So he was like, okay, baby, you want to be a journalist? You'll be a journalist. And then I could see him trying to figure out, what does that entail? But first he gave approval, then he did the research. So yeah,
how old were you?
That was kind of my dream.
How old were you?
Anywhere between 8 and 10. I kind of had that paper out until I was probably 12, and then I left Grenada when I was 14.
And you came to the U.S.?
I came to the U.S. I came to JFK, stayed in Brooklyn, Pan Am with my brother. I was 14, and he was 17, and it was, talk about fish out of water.
Yes.
First of all, we didn't want to leave our grandparents, I don't have hindsight about Grenada. Like, oh, wow, Grenada wow, I didn't know I was living in such a beautiful place. Oh, no. I knew I was living in paradise. I knew I was living in paradise. I also knew that I was really rich in love.
Yes.
I knew that my grandparents loved us. And I was beginning to understand that my mom had mental illness. So I was like, wow, I'm going to a strange place with a strange temperature because we were going in the winter without Mama and Papa. I don't know Mommy as much as I wanted to know Mommy because she left, like most immigrant women, leave. She didn't leave to get a better life. She left to get her life because she was mentally ill, and my grandfather really needed to get her the help she needed. But as far as a great life, I think he provided a great life for her. I think we're probably a few of those families who didn't write on their passports, we need a better life,
Right.
I think we sort of knew we had a good life, but Mommy was mentally ill. And I didn't know what that picture would look like. I only saw her sick one time when I was 10. So now it's 4 years later, and I didn't know what to expect. So I knew what I had was good, so I just preferred to stay with Mama and Papa.
And was that
but the universe called for me to come.
What was the trigger to make you? What was the trigger to make you move from? Like, what made you say, okay, this is when we're leaving?
Well, my dad, once Mommy came to get help, she went in and out of being sick. So there were days when she was very productive and she had a job, and, so then she got it together long enough to file papers for my dad to come. So once Daddy got here, and, typical Caribbean man with 25 jobs, he's like, I really don't want to live without my children because we were entrusted to her parents for so long. I think he finally said, no, I want all my kids under this roof. We're going to do it our way in America. And he made a deal with Mommy that he was going to send for us. First, he was going to send for my sister Yvonne, and she came by herself. And then the rest of us were going to come in twos. But the one thing was he wanted to make sure that we had a proper Grenada upbringing before we got into America and got corrupted, in his words. So you had to be at least 14 before you got on that plane. And so we came in twos. I was 14, my brother was 17, and then later on, my younger brother and my younger sister came. And, it was Daddy's decision for us to come, so we just had to come.
So I came when I was 9, and the culture shock was jarring. How was it to walk into this place where your accent was strange and where you were strange?
Oh, Luvvie, it was terrible for me. You know, it was terrible for me. I cried, a pool's worth of tears every day. My father, though, didn't want to hear it, see it, hear it, smell it. Get away. Stop. You're not crying your life away. Get it together. Like, he's like, you are a Noel. Get it together, But it was hard for me. I sounded different. I looked different. And I'm not talking about my face. I went to school with black kids in Brooklyn.
Right.
We all look black. But I didn't have the clothes they did. It was winter, and I was still putting on socks with open-toe shoes. Because Mommy was either sick or working, and Daddy didn't remember that he needed to get boots. So it took like a couple of days before I actually got into, a couple of weeks before I got into a real coat. Because when he came to the airport, he brought us like a little spring thing. My brother had his little spring coat. I had his little spring coat. I'm like, it's like 23 degrees, Daddy. Yeah, and it was bad. I got to tell you, though, Black American kids didn't bother me as much as other Caribbean kids did.
Really?
Yeah, like in 75 when we came, the people that was getting the most attention as Caribbean people, as Caribbean immigrants, were Jamaicans and Trinidadians. So nobody knew what Grenada was, and I wasn't liked by them either. They, I sounded different. Small island girl, that sort of thing. And it was terrible. But when the Americans teased me, it was about, get back on your boat, because I was really, really smart, and I would always raise my hand, and they're like, it wasn't cool to be smart. You needed not to be smart. And I was always told I had to be smart,
But, how did you adapt? How did you make friends? How did you laugh? Because you're somebody whose smile is bright.
I think I started, oh, my God, Luvvie, you're about to make me cry. Whew. I think I started laughing when I turned 17. But I think between 14 and 17, I was teased so much, and my mom was always sick. I was running from Erasmus Hall High School in Brooklyn to visit my mom at the G building, which is, really was the crazy house at Kings County, and nobody really knew where I was going. So I didn't have time to make friends. I couldn't join certain organizations because I needed to be with my mom. Years later, I told a story at a reunion that I didn't make a lot of friends because I had something to do that I couldn't tell anybody. You couldn't tell anybody you were going to the G building every day. The G building was like a jail. There were tons of gates before I could get to my mother because she was so sick. Most of the times I got there and she didn't even know that I was there, So it took me a while, but the 17-year mark, I met my boyfriend. I met my husband. He's my husband now. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, I think I'm about to have what my grandparents have, not my parents. I knew very early that my parents didn't have a real storybook love, but I knew my grandmother and my grandfather did. So I was like, oh my God, is this the guy that's going to give me what Mama and Papa have? Because I definitely don't want what Daddy and Mommy have, because their love was just, daddy was incapable of loving mommy the way she loved him. So it was that sort of one-sided thing. But I was very aware. I was a girl that snuck and read Harley Quinn romances. So I was like, oh my God. I was looking for this love, and I was like, oh my God, is this the guy? Yeah, I think I got really light, very light with my attitude. I stopped crying as much. I mean, I'm still a crier. But love, that love came into my life so early and sort of changed everything. It changed everything, and that it was such a consistent love, because obviously he's still here.
I love that. Oh my God, that is so cute. So his love basically brought your smile back.
His love changed everything. He introduced me to Manhattan. Because, Caribbean people, we just stay in Brooklyn back in the day. Brooklyn is all hip again, but back then I was like, what is over the bridge? What is over the bridge? And then I met a boyfriend that lived in Manhattan. I was like, yeah.
So then how did that change the
It was
trajectory? So did you still think about, I want to be a journalist as you...
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And not only did I get a boyfriend, I got my number one supporter. I said to David Allen Schure, I think I'm falling in love with you, but you are never going to be the one that gets in my way. And he said, well, look at you. I said, I want to be a journalist. I'm going to go to college. I'm not going to get pregnant. You are not. When our first date, I said, you can't even kiss me. Don't even touch my hand, because I've got a crazy father in Brooklyn. And he just listened to everything I said. And when I said I wanted to be a journalist, I have to go back and tell you that I met David on a Wednesday. We had a date on a Friday, and by Sunday, I ran away from home. That's a whole other story. I was moved into David's apartment in the East Village that Sunday after we met.
Wow.
Like, my parents should have killed me. On my mother's dying bed, I asked her, why did you not stop me and David? And she said, I knew he would make you happy for the rest of your life. I knew you were having what I would never have. And that's why I didn't stop you. My mother said that to me. Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. Wow. Insane.
Wow.
But when I told David that I wanted to be a journalist, he just kind of smiled at me, and I was like, oh, he's in love with me. That's cute. And then the next day, there was a package, and I opened the package. He had gone to Brooks Brothers. He had gotten me a traditional raincoat, like a trench. Dan Rather was like the big man on CBS Evening News, and I used to sit and watch that and be like, Dan Rather is such a journalist. And I would look at his coat, because he would be sometimes not in the studio, but he would be like the man on the street doing the interviews.
Yeah.
And I said, journalists have to wear a trench coat. And he went and he got me the coat, and then he went to the Sony Music Store, and he got me a little tape recorder, and he got me a reporter's notebook.
Wow.
And he said, you're going to need all of that. And then he went online and got the application for my colleges. I mean, it was insane.
Wow.
It was insane. Yeah.
My jaw's on the ground.
He was a good kid. He wasn't a kid. I mean, he actually could have gone to jail. I mean, hello, I was 17, he was 24. Hello. But
Scandal.
But I did turn 18 4 days after we met.
Oh, wow. Okay.
We met on November 14th, and I turned 18 on November 18th. So he was only a bad guy for 4 days.
For 4 days. So
yes.
he shows up and affirms this dream that you've had, buys you all the trench coats, the notebook, and then college applications. So what college did you end up going to?
I ended up going, so I was supposed to go to NYU. That's where I really wanted to go. And my second choice was UCLA.
Okay.
NYU, this is going to sound so crazy to you. I was so smart. I did not do well on the SATs. I did not blame it on me not studying, because I know I studied. I lacked sleep. I studied. I knew the work. But I was also trying to be cute, Luvvie. And I wore the tightest jeans you could ever find, couldn't breathe. And I swear to you, I'm sitting in that testing room, so uncomfortable, ran out of time on my test. It was terrible. So I was like, I walked up that test and I said, I am not going to go to NYU. My dream is just now dead. If you're not going to get into NYU, the most you're going to do is probably get waitlisted for UCLA, but probably not because they're tough too. And I was really sad. And then David said to me, you should think about the CUNY system, the City University of New York. And I was like, oh, if I went to a college in New York, I still get to be with David.
And you were like, yes.
So I said, eeny, meeny, miny, mo, City College. I want to go to school in Harlem. So I went to CCNY and, became the editor of the newspaper. First I was the entertainment editor, then I became the editor, and City College put me on a pedestal. Like they were just like, yes, whatever you want to do, we're just gonna feed it here. They were great. They were awesome. Just about 3 months ago, they gave me like such an honor. I could not believe it. And then I graduated from City College, and then I was working and never went to my graduation. And then last spring, I was invited to speak at City College. And before I addressed the students, the president of the college came in to say hello to me. I was like, why is the president of the college coming in to say hello to me? And he said, oh, we've been following your work, and you're amazing, and the students talk about you, and the Caribbean students especially talk about you. I said, oh, that's nice. That's nice. And then I looked at his hand, and he had a graduation cap in his hand, and he said, that's for you. And I said, oh, my God, I never got a graduation picture. Yeah, I'm going to get a picture. And I bent down, and I was teasing that my hair is so big, will this cap fit my wig? And as I was making the joke, I looked up, and he had my degree in his hand. Oh.
Did you cry?
32 years after my graduation, I finally got my physical degree from City College. So City College was Harvard to me. It nourished, nurtured, and protected me. It was a great place for me. I got married during my time at City College. I had my firstborn, Michael, during my time at City College. It was everything for me, everything.
Oh, that's incredible. So when you went to City College and you were still a journalist, how did journalists become publicists?
Well, I left college, did a number of internships, all sort of media related. Did one with Gannett Westchester newspapers. At the time, they were starting a national newspaper that was in color called USA Today.
Oh, wow.
And I worked for them in their Westchester, their White Plains office. And then I also did a broadcast internship at CBS News on their New Jersey desk. And then I got a call from a friend that I went to City College with. She was working for a company that had a number of magazines, and she was working their romance magazines. And she said, there's an opening at their music fan magazine. And I said, oh, Right On? And she said, no, it's called Black Beat. I said, I don't want to work for Black Beat. I want to work for Number One. I want to work for Right On. She said, well, this publisher does not have Right On. He has Black Beat, and he's looking for an editor, and I think you'd be great. So I went in for the interview, and there was this publisher. His name was John Plunkett. And I'd gotten all of my writing samples, and I put it in this nice portfolio, and I presented it to him. And he looked at me, and he said, you're hired. I said, sir, you didn't look at my portfolio. He said, you're black, you're young, you seem smart. I need a black girl to run this magazine.
Well, you were ready.
You had to be ready for those opportunities.
Yeah. You
had to just be ready. And I spent a long time there. And while I was there, obviously I met lots of publicists because, I was covering music, everybody from Michael Jackson and to like New Edition. And one of the people I met was Larry Jenkins. He was running the media department at Capitol Records. And when he changed jobs and went to Columbia Records, Mariah Carey's album was coming out, Music Box, and I called for a copy of the record so I could review it. And I don't know how I said it, what I said, but something in how I said it, he said, Yvette, do you want a job as a publicist? I said, Larry, let's get serious. I don't want to be a publicist. Publicists are crazy. They get all emotional and they forget you're on the list and they're terrible. And no. I just want Mariah Carey's album so I could review it. And he insisted that I should come up and talk to him. So once he sent the music down, I reviewed it, and then I went up to Columbia Records. And I got hired on the spot. He said I should have thought of a music journalist for this position. And I spent 17 years there with Mariah Carey as my first client. I walked in and there was an envelope on my chair, like a folder, and it said Mariah Carey. So I picked it up and I brought it down the hallway to Larry Jenkins' office. And I said, Larry, I guess the former person in this office must have left this. He said, no, Yvette, I put it there for you.
Wow.
You need to study everything about Mariah. She is your first client. I was like, no. She's married to Tommy Mottola. She's married to the boss. Like, what? You're setting me up for failure. He's like, girl, sit down and get to work. And I spent 17 years there.
Okay, so when you
With a lot of work, a lot of hard work, and a lot of breakdowns. There were so many times I was like, we used to call it the Columbia Records breakdown. When you just get in the office and you're just overwhelmed and you just scream behind closed doors.
You were thrown into the deep end in the biggest way possible.
Nobody asked me if I could swim, though, Luvvie.
Correct.
Nobody asked me if I could swim.
Correct. So how did you swim? How did you learn how to swim?
I remembered two people, Mama and Papa, who never went to school but ran their business. I remember them having to start all over after they raised their children because their oldest daughter was mentally ill and they raised us. I just remember all of that. I remember my grandfather being a true feminist and treating me the way he treated my brothers and told me you have to learn to drive. Anything you need to do, you could do it. And I was like, I am never going to make those two people a shame. I'm never going to embarrass them. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. There were so many tears. I thought, Yvette, you got to get over these crying thing. People are going to judge you badly. So I stopped crying in the meetings and I only cried in my office, but I cried.
Yeah, that's real.
I closed the door. I asked them to put a curtain up, in my office at Columbia Records. And I told my staff when I come in and I close the door, it means I just need a moment. They ordered me a tea chest. I would wake up. I would come in the morning and I would have a cup of tea and I would sit there and I would get all my emotions out. And then I would roll up my sleeve and say, let's do this. Let's do this. There are people who trust us with their dream. They trust us with their dream. When Beyoncé, Kelly, Latavia, and LaToya were dreaming about becoming singers and being Destiny's Child, Yvette Noel-Schure was nowhere in that dream. Nowhere. So the fact that I get the opportunity to be part of a piece of the puzzle, you can't mess that up. Those kids were young. They were young. They start trusting you from the beginning. You can't curse around them. You can't become a drinking fool and act crazy. You can't do drugs around them. They were babies. They were 14 and 15.
That's when you started representing them. When they were 14.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. The girls were 14 and 15 when I met them. I think Kelly had already had a birthday because she is February, and I met them in the spring. So Kelly already was 15. I think B would have been 15 in September. Latavia in November. I can't remember LaToya's, but they were all going to be 15 that year. Yeah.
And that's when incredible. That's when you started being their publicist. And now, how many years after that? It's been how many years at this point?
Well, it's about 23 years. It's about 23 years. Yeah, I tried to figure it out based on my daughter's ages.
Yeah.
So my daughters are next week, well, the week after, my daughters are going to be 26 and 23. And when I started working with Destiny's Child, my big girl was 3. And my baby was, 4, and my baby was 1. So I usually, it's about Milan's age.
I love the fact that you use your motherhood as a timestamp.
Well, because my motherhood was so important. I'm so proud of all the girls being mothers now. LaToya just became a mom, and they're all moms now, the original ones. And I'm keeping my fingers crossed for when Michelle tells us one day. But the original ones, the original 4 are all mothers. And I always use my motherhood in speaking about Destiny's Child, because I used to tell them after we did a full day of interviews, a photo shoot, that kind of stuff, if anyone suggested, not necessarily the girls, but if management or the record label or a producer or somebody suggested anything other than work, like, let's go get something to eat, I will always say to the girls, I have to go home to my babies. And I remember as they grew up, they would mouth that to me. That would always say, got to go home to my babies. And when each one of them became a mom, they would say, ooh, girl, we understand now. You got to go home to your babies.
Yes.
So it's all, and there were so many moments of magic for me, like going on a photo shoot, and my daughter, Mika, coming when she was about 15 to meet me, and watching her speak to Beyoncé, having a full-on conversation with Beyoncé, and me coming into the room bawling. And immediately Bea knew what was going on, and she would say, yeah, your mama is just remembering when she met me, I was your age, So it's that kind of a stuff, and they know what motherhood means to me. And in a way, I think even though I was professional and it was publicist and client, I think in a way they all know that I had to put on my mother hat to do the job with them because they were so young. Yeah. The fact that Tina Knowles-Lawson and Matthew Knowles trusted me every waking day to be around these girls. Yeah. Man, you had to do the right thing, not just deliver covers. you got to be respectful, you know?
Exactly. You're basically the mother hen in that way. And one thing that is clear about your career is also you've worked with greats, and you continue to work with greats, and you've worked with them over decades. So once they get Yvette on their team, they don't let Yvette go.
Well, I also don't want them to go, so I think I hold on tight.
Exactly, but everybody holding on tight to you. And that longevity, that consistency speaks to something greater. What do you think is the secret to being the person who people are like, once I have her on my team, I do not want to let her go?
Loyalty. Loyalty. I'm just a really loyal person, and I also respect people's privacy. Yeah. So I'm very clear that my job is to tell you everything you need to know about their career. And I know that all of that personal stuff belongs to them. And I would tell those artists, you do not owe anybody anything except a really great performance when they buy a ticket. When they buy your music, you need to deliver a great album because you know what? Those people, your fans, did not pick that money off the ground. Mm-hmm. Everybody works for their money. Mm-hmm. Their money is going into your bank account. So what you owe them is a great performance, great curated content. That's what, but you don't owe them where you live, who you sleep with.
Yes.
You don't owe them any of that. And I take that to heart. And I'm a fierce protector. I'm a fierce protector.
Yes, that's so necessary. Because, I mean, you represented Prince for a long time. And he was
I had 2 stints with him, yeah. You know, it's funny because people say that he always moved on, except for his bands. The bands lasted long, and then he would have another band. But for the most part, he had his music people kind of stayed in his life a lot. But like other people, because, after the whole Warner Brothers stint, he kind of went and did one album here, one album there with different labels. So the fact that he came back to me for a second stint was something really special, and it's something I really took to heart because I worked with him first in 2004 for a couple of years when he did the album with Columbia Records, Musicology. And then when he called me back in 2014, and I stayed with him until he died. Wow. And so that was really special. And Luvvie, the entire time I worked for Prince, both in the beginning and in the end, I pretended I was not a fan.
Did you really?
And the minute the minute he walked out the door, I was like, oh my God. I worked for, when I was around him, I was like, yes, sir. Yes, sir. I never, except he caught me one time, and that's how I actually started working for him. Prince and Beyoncé were rehearsing for the iconic performance that we now know from the Grammys.
Yes.
And I was privileged to be in that room. The young woman that I love and the idol that I'm just like, oh my God, the Purple Man. And I went to those rehearsals, said nothing to him, never looked his way. Probably about a month later, I got a call from his lawyer, said, Prince signed a deal with Columbia. He wants to meet you. He's thinking about having you on the team. I said, why me? No. He said, you need to come and meet Prince. He's in New York, and he wants to meet you. So I walk in, and I say, hello, sir. Nice to meet you. And he said, really nice to meet you. And then I was like, okay, that's the end of it. He met me now. Now he could decide if my spirit gives with his, I'm leaving. So I'm like, literally, hi, bye, getting ready to leave. And he said, wait, hold on. And Londell Macmillan was his lawyer, said, Yvette, come here. P wants to talk to you again. And he did call him P. P wants to talk to you again. And I said, okay. And I came back in the room. He said, I know you. I said, no. I've been to a number of your shows, but at the time, I had no money. So, I was, in the top row, so there's no way you could have seen me. He said, oh, no. You were at every rehearsal for the Grammy performance with Beyoncé. You were smiling the entire time, and I will never forget your smile. And yes. Londell goes, bingo, she's in.
Yes.
Yes, he had seen me grinning the whole time. He took that in the entire time. They were focused on that epic performance, and he remembered that. Isn't that crazy?
Well, you know what? I'm not surprised. Can I just, that's one thing.
Well, I'm always grinning, so.
But you have, literally, I'm pulled in by people's smiles, too, because I just love, because it really does light up your face. Your smile
Well, you have an epic one. You have an epic one, Luvvie.
Coming from you have the epic smile. You smile with your whole body. Your smile,
I do.
It's with your whole body. It is amazing. It is one of those things. So I could see Prince being like, yo, who's that smiling person in the room with 6 people?
Right.
Wow.
Yeah,
he
that's
remembered
how I got
your
to
smile.
Work with Prince.
Wow.
He remembered my smile. Luvvie, the hardest thing I had to do for work, obviously bearing my parents difficult, the hardest thing I've ever had to do for work was to sit on the floor of the airport in Trinidad on the 21st of April, 2016, and write that statement that told the world Prince had died. I did not learn that in journalism school. I did not know where you put the full stop. It was the most bizarre thing. I had just spoken to the team 2 days before I left. We were going to do the cover of Keyboard magazine when I got back. I was going home for a friend's wedding, another publicist she was marrying a half Grenadian guy, and I was like, yes, you got to get married in Grenada. I need a vacation. And I was going home, but stopped in Trinidad. I have a sister in Trinidad, and I was going to spend the day with her before I take the flight home. And I landed, and both my phones, I turned them on, and I was like, why are all these calls? And what is all this? I missed all these calls. What is all these emails? What's going on? So but I was scared to pick up the phone because I was going through immigration for transit, and I was, you know how the rules are.
Yeah.
But then I said, let me at least call my husband because he called so many times. I hope nothing is wrong with my mom because my mom still alive. She would die 3 weeks after Prince.
Oh, gosh.
And when I called him, he said, "You've got to call Phaedra, who was Prince's business manager. Prince has died."
What?
And I was like, "What are you talking about? No, we're doing. When I come back, we're doing the cover. What are you talking? No, Prince, no." And I just lost it right there in immigration. And my daughter was traveling with me, and she grabbed the phone from me. And then I called his business manager, and I said, "What is this hoax?" And she said, "It's not a hoax, Yvette.
What?
I need you to write the statement." And I was trying to write the statement, but all the texts were still coming in from CNN and ABC News and everybody. And I was like, I can't get through writing. And my daughter grabbed my phone, and she said, "Mommy, put it back on airplane mode."
Yeah.
And I put it back on airplane mode, and I wrote the statement on my phone. It's still on my phone. And then I said I couldn't send it to everybody because I just too much. So I called Nikessa Moody at the Associated Press because she was one of the journalists that I had sent to his home just weeks before. And because I'd finally gotten Prince where I wanted him. Like, he was finally saying yes to some interviews. I was like, yes. You know, and I gave her the statement. And then Luvvie, I looked up 3-4 minutes after.
Yeah.
And on all of the television screens at the airport in Trinidad, I saw the statement, and I saw my name. And I was like, wow, it's real. And the power of digital, it's right there. Me sitting in this Caribbean airport, it's real. Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, that was a sad time. And just so you could keep a calendar, Prince had died. I was going home, and days later, Beyoncé would release Lemonade.
Oh, wow.
So there was this madness with the death, and I knew something epic was coming. Something epic was coming that I couldn't talk about either, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
So you dealt with Prince dying, Lemonade coming out, and then your mother dying 2 weeks after that.
And my mother 3 weeks later, and then Beyonce's Formation tour starting. Yeah.
So basically you were also...
because we started the tour. I was on the tour when my mother took a turn for the worse. And then I came home, and my beautiful, wonderful mother waited for me, and we had a moment. And she died into the wee hours of the morning after Mother's Day, so that Monday morning. So she gave us Mother's Day, which was beautiful. And so sort of apropos for our relationship over the years, that she, in the end, just wanted to be a mother one more time and to have us celebrate her one more time.
And you're saying that as she was dying, you said something earlier that she said to you. Oh, yes, about David.
Weeks before, when, you know, her health was going down, I asked her about David.
Yes.
I asked her about David, you know, when she could still talk, because she went into that silent thing for like a week or so. But when she could still talk, I was like, Mommy, you know, I always said, why didn't my mother stop me? Like, I look at these photos of me looking like a 12-year-old on my wedding day, and I was like, Mommy, you didn't stop me. And that's when she told me that I knew that David would be with you forever, and that he would make you happy, and that you would have from David what I never had from your dad.
Wow.
You know? And I wasn't going to stop that. I wasn't going to block your blessings at all, even though I knew you were too young, you know? I mean, yeah.
So once again, when you're thrown in the deep end without you telling anybody you can swim, this 1 month of crazy roller coaster of emotions, of tragedy, of joy, and then tragedy again, how did you swim once again?
I think this time love saved me, you know? Love saved me. When my love on so many ways, and I haven't spoken about that with anybody, and you're probably the only one I would speak to about this in a public way. when my mother died, I didn't know that your body could shut down and you could still be alive. My body just shut down. I balled myself up into the corner of my sofa, and I don't think I got up for 48 hours. I don't remember going to the bathroom. I know I didn't eat. I couldn't even cry. It just wouldn't come out. It was just stuck in my throat. And when I came through, I said to my husband, oh, my goodness, okay, it's real. Okay, so we have to make arrangements. We have to do this. People have to come in from Grenada. Like, we have to get love. My husband had done everything. He had contacted the funeral home. He had ordered her coffin. He had done everything. Everything. He had made arrangements for my sister to come in from Grenada. Like, he'd done everything. I said, what is there for me to do? He said, I'm not a writer. You are. So you're going to have to write what it is you want to say. And then I'm not the fashion person. You are. So you're going to have to buy her dress. That was all I had to do.
Wow.
Then, after the funeral, and I thought I was so brave, I'm always thrown into the deep water, and I always swim, so I'm just going right back to work.
Yeah.
Went back to work. And a week later, I was in Chicago, your Chicago.
Yes.
Backstage, going through photos that were shot from that stage, and had a full-on emotional breakdown, bawling. I want my mommy, I want my mommy, I want my mommy. And our photographer at the time, her name is Daniela, hugged me, and she wouldn't go back out to shoot the rest of the show.
Wow.
She just held me tight. By the time the show was over, someone must have told B. And like a couple of days later, I was in the most beautiful place where I could hear my heart beat and where I could finally give in to my grief. It was the most beautiful gift anybody could give me. It was love. She was like, you need to go and you need to just grieve. And then come back. We'll be here.
Wow.
Love. Love. When people care about you, they do really special things for you. Grief. Grief is a thief. It comes in the night. It comes in the morning. It's disrespectful. It just comes when you don't need it.
Wow.
And we have to give into it. And it takes people that really care for us to say, stop trying to swim.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to fall under the water.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to let that water go in your nostrils.
Yeah.
And then you got to jump up and be like, okay, oh, okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. And people don't even see because you keep this smile on your face. And I couldn't even imagine.
Well, I choose happiness. I choose happiness above it all. I know how to put my life into different compartments. Don't forget, I've got the gene of mental illness. I've got that gene. You can't walk away from it. But every day I wake up, I've got to put things into compartments so I could protect my sanity. If I took on all of those things that threatened to destroy me, I will give into it. And I would not have broken the curse of my mom's legacy of illness. That's part of the legacy that I'm going to break.
Yes.
And I'm going to talk about it because I want people that look like us to not judge people who are mentally ill.
Yes.
Because our people don't understand mental illness. We don't get that. Like, whoa, no. We're supposed to be tough. There was a time last year where someone put something out on the internet that basically, I'm going to mess it up, but basically that Black women should not fall apart. We shouldn't cry. We should just be tough.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Right. I hate that.
No. We what? No, we can't do that. We can't. That's why I think people are not protecting us because they think we could do it ourselves.
Superwoman.
Like, no.
It's a superwoman syndrome.
Yeah, we can't be superwoman all the time. We just can't do that.
So what do you think? Do you do therapy? How do you really keep your... Yeah, do you do therapy? Do you believe in therapy?
I totally believe in therapy. I don't have a therapist now, but I did at one point. And when the first time I felt complete loss was when my younger sister got married, and I was really having separation anxiety. So I saw a therapist. I totally believe in therapy. I don't think drugs were the only thing that helped my mom. In fact, I think they probably put her back a couple of years. But I think when she sat with a therapist, when she was able to talk, it was great. I completely believe in therapy, and I believe in the therapy of vacation.
Amen.
Girl, get on that plane to Grenada, and I am healed.
Oh,
yeah, I
and
go home often because it heals me.
You just got, you're now an ambassador of Grenada.
I am officially a tourism ambassador.
Yes.
And actually, I'm going to go even further and work my way up to being a real ambassador of culture. So that paperwork has been in for a long time, and I've been messy and not filling it in. So I'm going to try to do that soon. But I
need to come.
I get to talk about my island. I get to encourage people to go.
I need to come.
I love it.
I want to go. I definitely want to go.
You must. You must. Well, Luvvie, I started the 3-year countdown to a very, very big birthday, and it'll be a carnival blowout in Grenada. And hello, I looked at the list yesterday. You were number 5 on the list, honey.
Yes!
And that's after my family. So
Give me the date now. Put it in my calendar. I'm literally gonna block it out.
November 19, 2021 is the party, honey.
Yo, it's on my calendar. It's done. I am there. I am there.
Grenada, here we come.
Yo, I'm there.
But you know, I told Bose I am going to wake up in Ghana on the 1st of January, 2020.
Yo, you have to come with us.
I am not missing out on Ghana, man. You guys made that look too good.
Oh, we had a blast. We had such a good time. You got to come with us.
That's amazing.
You have to come
coming.
with us.
I am there.
Oh, we're going to have a good time. Oh, I'm excited now. Boom, 2021, we got that. So now what are you most proud of that you've done?
My children.
Yes.
My children. I was 21 when I got married, 22 when I had Michael. I think I was 30 when I had Mika, and I think 33 maybe when I had Milan. And there are so many different stages, you know. My 2 first ones are 9 years apart. You know, I was taking Michael to school with me, you know, hiding him underneath my coat while I did class, you know. He always calls his sisters, the rich girls, because he said, Mommy and Daddy had no money when they had me. He said, we ate ramen. Now they're like deciding what they want. You know, it's like 5 different milks in the refrigerator now, you know. It's like, he said, we had milk when I was growing up. My sisters got milk. They've got coconut milk. They've got almond milk, cashew milk, hemp milk. Yeah, but I'm proud of my children because they're good people. They're good people. They don't judge people. They've accepted every kind of person that's come into my life.
Yeah.
I remember I have a friend, and he's been in my life forever. He's just the most beautiful man. And I put my son sit down when my son was 8 to tell him, I just want you to know that my friend is gay. No, I said, I just want you to know that my friend is, I couldn't say it. I was like, I just don't want you to. He said, oh, you mean he's gay? Oh, so is that supposed to be a thing? Is that a big deal? Like
Right.
we're supposed to talk about it? He was 8.
Wow.
He's 8. I was like, I got a good one here. Yeah. My kids are wonderful. My kids are, not without trouble, not without, their own anxiety about the world. You know, my daughter Mika is very political, and she's like can't understand why we're in this mess we're in, and she's the most vocal about it.
I can't understand either.
Yeah, she's just like, you know, she's like, that's it. Like my whole childhood was a lie. This is not what's supposed to happen, you know. But they're good people. They're good people, and my kids could walk into any room and speak to anyone, and they hold their heads up high, and I just love that. I just took my daughter to Michelle Obama's last tour date for the book on this first round in New York at Barclays, and I just stood up and I watched my daughter have a full-on conversation with the former First Lady and for my ever First Lady, and a full-on conversation, like full conversation. I was like, wow, man, wow. Yeah,
that's
very proud of that. Very proud that I am leaving in this world. If God is hearing me, He'll make sure that I leave before my children.
Amen.
So I'm really proud that I'll be able to say that I will contribute 3 really good souls to the world.
That's amazing. So, final question. How are you taking care of yourself as you're world-dominating, mothering like a champ, and ambassadoring?
Well, you know, everything that goes into my body, into my temple, is going to be important to me. So I curate my food the way people curate their artwork on their walls. It's like really important, really, really important. I eat mostly green. I do eat fish every once in a while. And because my daughters have beat me up with this, I really have gone crazy on drinking my water.
Okay.
I'm back in the gym. You know, I think you've got to be a little selfish for an hour in the day. An hour in the day, it's got to be about you, what you put in your body, work up a sweat, get your heart going. But for the rest of the day, what keeps me going is that I just give love, man. I give free hugs. I smile. I choose to be happy. I love people. And I just really believe that if I live in love, it's gonna be okay. Like it's so sort of corny, but I don't mind being corny, man. It has worked for me for all those years. That's how I live.
Corny's not bad. Corny's not bad.
Corny's not bad.
It's not. It keeps you happy. It keeps you joyous.
Luvvie, I want to say something to you.
Yes.
It's not a question you asked me, but it's something that I want to say to you.
Yes.
The moment I met you, I loved you. I had heard about you, and I was dying to meet you. And then I went to that event with Steve Pammon, and you were both being honored.
Yes.
And I was so drawn to you. You started speaking, and I was just like, oh, my God, this woman is even more than what I thought. And I was like, oh, God, please let her come to the party. Please let her come to the party. There is this really amazing photograph of when I met you. I think I hugged you so hard. And I just want to thank you for that, because you were so amazing. We talked, and I think we started building a friendship from that second.
Yeah. From
that second. And even though I don't see you all the time, and I'm always in your DM telling you something, I think of you so often, and I am in the fan group watching you dominate, supporting you, loving you, high-fiving you.
Oh, my goodness.
You are everything. You are everything.
Listen, you're going to make me cry, because to get that from you is mind-blowing. And this summer, you had me come to the first North America stop of the On the Run tour. And it was my first ever Beyoncé concert. Do you know that?
Oh, my God.
It was the first time I'd ever seen her in concert, ever. And I was like, my mind was blown. And you don't understand how much I appreciated that you thought of me and included me in that day. It meant so much to me. So thank you for seeing me.
Steve Hammond is a huge fan of yours, too.
I love Steve. It's Chicago. We got the Chicago connection.
The Chicago thing, man.
The Chicago connection is real. So for me, for people like me who are still working in our career in terms of like trying to find our pinnacle, you are basically a beacon of light, and you show us that we can be exactly who we are we can be the people we are and walk in these rooms and do the best work that we can and walk away, be respected for it. So like Jay-Z said, your presence is charity. Your presence is charity for me. I look
oh my God,
at how you move. I look at your integrity, because you also show that you can be in this business for a long time and have strong, deep integrity. So thank you for that. I love you.
Oh, thank you.
You're my mentor. You're one of my
You're
mentors.
So special.
Just so you know.
Oh, I'm taking it.
Like, you're one of my mentors. You're one of my friends. And I am so, so happy and rooting for you in everything. I'm so excited for everything that you do.
And we're shoe lovers.
Oh,
Let's get real petty. We're shoe lovers.
Yo. Oh, my God. The shoe game is serious, okay? Like.
Your shoe game. I'm like, okay, so this is such a confession. Every time you post a photo on Instagram, I zoom into the shoes. Zoom in. Come on. Expand this photo. Let's see the shoes.
Because I have a shoe Instagram now. I have a whole Instagram account dedicated to my shoes now, because people have admitted to
I'm
me.
on that.
Oh,
I go to that. I need to follow that. I don't know that I follow it. I need to follow that shoe Instagram.
Yeah, it's Must Love Shoes. Girl, I love the shoe. Look,
honey,
my shoe addiction. I basically feel like I'm working so I can make sure my mom stays retired so I can buy shoes. So
That's right. That's right. Exactly.
What shoe size are you,
I
Yvette?
love it. I'm an 8.5.
Ah, okay. Good to know. I'm going to keep that in mind. Okay.
Oh, you funny.
I'll keep that in mind. Thank you so much for spending time with me on this show like this. This means so much.
Oh, I am so honored. I love you. I love your book. I love what you do. I love what you stand for. I love that you rep being an immigrant as hard as I do.
Yes.
And I love that your culture is so important to you. I love your hair. I love everything about you. You're amazing. And I'm going to steal Oprah's line. Girl, your future is so bright, it's blinding me.
Oh my God. Honestly, my day's made. I don't even need nothing else for the day. I can just go to sleep now because I'm good. I don't need nothing else. Love you, friend.
You.
And
have a wonderful day.
You too.
Thanks, darling. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Yo, I told you that episode was epic. Yvette is amazing. She's just such an incredible human being. I am so grateful that she joined me on Rant and dropped all these gems. And not just that, let us into her story in such a deep way. So please show Yvette some love. I mean that. Y'all, if you love this interview, let her know it. Tell her on social media that you loved hearing what she had to say on Rant and Randomness. Again, find her on social. Her username is at Yvette Noel-Schure. That's YvetteNoelSchure. I'll keep bringing y'all these interviews. If you're loving Rant and Randomness, also share it loudly. Let me know you're loving these interviews. And as always, I'm at Luvvie on Instagram, on Twitter, Facebook, all over my social. And shout out to Chicago Recording Company, where I record this podcast. See y'all on the next episode.